Because of the law of adaptation, our brain can grow and our brain can shrink. It is true that there are things that damage brain cells, and if they're damaged, they don't grow again. But there are 3 things today that medicine is showing can stimulate new brain cell growth in the hippocampus part of the brain. 3 shockers. 3 shockers cause a release of brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Brain-derived neurotrophic factor is a protein that stimulates neurogenesis. Neurogenesis means new brain cells. Are you above 50 and starting to forget where you left your keys? Or maybe you walk into a room and can't remember why you're there. You're not alone. Over 55 million people worldwide are living with dementia, and cases are expected to triple by 2050. But here's the good news. Memory loss and cognitive decline aren't just a normal part of aging. Your brain has the power to heal, grow, and stay sharp if you give it the right tools. So what can you do today to keep your brain healthy? Prevent dementia and Alzheimer's and improve your memory. Science has uncovered some powerful strategies, and in this video we're breaking them all down. Stay with me till the end, because even small changes can make a big difference in protecting your brain for years to come. As a thank you for joining me today, we're giving away 100 free copies of my best-selling book to subscribers. So if you haven't yet, hit subscribe, like this video, and comment why you want to win. But when you have a look at the head, see 7 avenues of access into the brain. There are 2 ears, there are 2 eyes, nostrils, and there is a mouth. Everything we hear or have ever heard, everything we see or have ever seen, smell, and everything that goes into our mouth, whether it be food or drink, has an effect on the brain. Our destiny. So how important that we know something about the decision-making part of our brain. This is an area that many people are ignorant. The little book, The Ministry of Healing, which I see is up the back in the foyer. It says in there on page 127 that the only hope of better things is the education of the people in right principles. It's a tragic thing today that in Australia, 50% of Australians have, are, or will suffer from some form of mental illness. And 1,700 cases of Alzheimer's is being diagnosed every day in Australia. These figures indicate that many people don't understand their brain, and they don't realize that we have more control over what we do and even what we say than we think we do. So in this short little time I have with you this morning, I'd like to just open the door a little bit and show you the parts of our brain where we make our decision and what influences them. So we're going to begin by looking at the brain. Now the brain looks a little bit like this, and there is what's called the limbic system. And the limbic system basically takes up about that part of the brain. And this limbic system is often called the emotional brain. And I think we all know about emotions. And I think we all know that emotions aren't a very good guide because they go up and down like the wind. But there's another part of our brain that God designed to actually control that limbic system, that emotional part of the brain. So to do this, brain from top down. You will have a look at the brain like this, and in the front part of the brain, and we're going to call this the right side of the brain and the left side of the brain. And I think the way you're looking at is so in the right part of the brain, you could call that the I want section that's down there. Sorry, want the I won't. Now, important part of the brain, where it's very important is cigarette. No, big state. I'll have a bowl of lentils instead. Left part of the brain is the I will. And the I will part of the brain is also very important because I will get out of bed and exercise this morning. I will go to bed early. I will make decisions that are helpful for my body. So you've got the I won't, and you've got the I will. And we need a little bit of balance in there. And that's where we come to. Right in the center is the I want part of the brain. What do I want? Do I want a healthy body? A healthy body Then I can trigger the "I won't do that, will do that." And God designed our brain so that this part of the brain, just here in the center, is where our goals are. It's called the prefrontal cortex, or sometimes it's called the frontal lobe. This part of the brain is where reasoning, problem-solving, and decision-making happen. It helps us think about consequences before we act. When this part is strong and well-trained, it helps us make better choices. But if it is weak or damaged, emotions can take over, making it harder to control impulses or think clearly. The choices we make every day shape our future. What we eat, how we sleep, these things affect the brain. A poor diet filled with processed foods and sugar can slow down thinking and make emotions harder to control. Lack of sleep can make decision-making difficult and cause mood swings. Stress, if not managed properly, lead to anxiety or depression. Exercise plays a big role in brain health. Moving the body increases blood flow, bringing oxygen and nutrients to the brain. This helps with focus, memory, and mental clarity. Make a difference. People who exercise regularly often find it easier to stay motivated, control their emotions, and think positively. What we focus on also changes the brain. If we constantly think negative thoughts, strengthens those pathways, making it easier to feel discouraged. But if we practice gratitude and positive thinking, the brain adapts to that instead. Problems, but choosing to approach them with a mindset that looks for solutions. The people we spend time with shape our thinking as well. Conversations, shared experiences around us influence the brain. Spending time with encouraging and supportive people strengthens the mind, while constant negativity can drain energy and motivation. Unfortunately, there are many things today that people are doing that are actually clouding or compromising the part where our goals are, the part where our intellect, reason, and judgment is. Been looking at that this week, though I haven't actually defined it as such. So dehydration compromises it. Late nights compromise it. Lack of exercise compromises it. Bad food compromises it. Bad air compromises it. So on the other hand, when we're well slept, when we've got nourishing food in our bodies, and when we're breathing in fresh air, then the I want part. In fact, Guardian, that's the guardian that actually influences the wills and the wants part of the brain, which are of course affected by the limbic system, which is your emotional, your feeling part of the brain. What I'd like to do this morning, I'd like to use as my framework the 7 mental laws that govern the brain and show you how you can rewire your brain, show you how you can actually change even the way that you think. Isn't that good news? The first law is the law of cause and effect. Effect follows cause with unvarying degree all through nature, and never should the effect be blamed as the cause. I had a lady come to me and she said, "I found the cause of all my problems. Chronic fatigue syndrome." I said, "Problems, that's actually the effect." When someone says, "I've got depression," no problem happens without a cause. There is always a reason. In fact, to defy basic science. So we should always be looking at the cause of a problem. And sometimes the problem for depression could be too much coffee, dehydration. So that's the best place to start. When someone comes to me wanting help with depression, do you know that's what I do? Water. Start easing off your coffee. Straight away, but you might suffer. It's not doing you any good. I say, start going to bed early. Start limiting your technology time. Start seriously assessing what you're watching and the effect it's having on your brain. Start exercising. But I don't feel like exercising. Yes, emotional brain. But what do you want? I want to feel good. I want to conquer my depression. We'll go and exercise. Can you see how that all threads into each other? The second law is the law of choice. And the law of choice, as you can see, that I want the frontal lobe part of the brain, your guardian, R. This is what you feel like doing, what you want. So that influences your, and when you're well slept, well exercised, well fed, the brain is a lot stronger. And when that I want part of the brain is strong, it gives you the power to override temporary feelings. Think about it. How many times have you known you should do something, but you just didn't feel like it? That's the battle between the limbic system and the frontal lobe. The good news is the more you strengthen your frontal lobe, the easier it becomes to make decisions based on what's truly best for you, rather than just how you feel in the moment. Now, about to say, it's a little bit flippant, till you make it, huh? Who are you faking? That limbic wild horse emotional system needs the bridle here, and eventually he felt like it. Because your words affect your feelings. He obviously didn't feel like it straight away because he said, I've done it. But as the days went on, those feelings changed because your words affect your feelings. And that night, after he'd made the decision, times that day, but he stood firm. Little cells were activated. They're called glial cells, and your glial cells are your body's vacuum cleaners. And there are more glial cells in your brain than nerve cells. And because Doug made the decision to forgive when he went to sleep between the hours of 9 and 2, the little glial cells came along, and they vacuum cleaned up all the thorns. Science is now showing that forgiveness has a physiological effect on our brain to clean it up. When you're lying in bed about to go to sleep, just think, tonight, my body's vacuum cleaners are going to clean up all the thorns. My brain's going to process properly. File system, I did in the day. Amazing things happen when you sleep. Don't sleep? Sorry. But what if you're struggling with sleep? Lay there with the lights out, with all your Christmas trees out of the room, gone, window open, got fresh sheets, you're hydrated. Lay there. Can't sleep. All the wonderful things in your life. I'm in a bed. I'm not outside in a ditch. I'm not in a concentration camp. And I wasn't beaten today. And I had a meal today. Not like some stories I've read of people in concentration camps who had half a meal a day. There's so much to be thankful for. One lady said, I haven't got anything to be thankful for. You got 2 legs. I've met a man with none. I got eyes that see. You're blind. What one lady said when she was asked about her blindness. Her name was Fanny Crosby. She wrote many hymns in our hymn books. They said, the first face I will ever see is the lovely face of Jesus. She was so happy about that. You see, we'll put a few more here. Happiness is a choice. We've got no right not to be happy. No right. If you're not used to smiling, stand in front of the mirror and practice it. Practice it. Practice it. Ladies that have Botox do it all the time. Their skin's so tight, it pulls a smile. Just smile. Have you noticed with children what it tells them? I love you and everything's all right. Can I have that? Sorry later. You smile firm. Forgiveness is a choice. Just do it. Just do it. Add it. Practice makes perfect. Repetition is the mother of retention, and repetition deepens the impression. These pathways are built in our brain. We can rewire our brain right up until the day we die. We can rewire our brain. And if you say it's good, and if you say it's terrible, guess what it will be? That's the choice factor. Repetition plays a key role in how the brain learns and adapts. When you repeat an action, thought, or skill, neurons making it easier to recall or perform the task in the future. This process is called neuroplasticity, which allows the brain to rewire itself based on repeated experiences. And every time you practice something, whether it's playing an instrument, speaking a language, or learning a new workout routine. Electrical signals through specific neural pathways. At first, these pathways are weak or unnatural, but with repetition, more smoothly, and the process becomes more automatic. Think about when you first learned to ride a bike. At the beginning, balancing felt nearly impossible. Your brain was trying to coordinate multiple actions at once, pedaling your body upright. After repeated attempts, became second nature. This happens because the brain strengthens the connections responsible for those actions, reducing the effort needed to perform them. Repetition also helps with memory. When you review information multiple times, your brain recognizes it as important and stores it in long-term memory. This is why students who go over their notes several times before a test remember the material better than those who only read it once. Not only does repetition make learning easier, but it also changes the physical structure of the brain. It increases the thickness of the myelin sheath, a protective layer around neurons that speeds up communication between brain cells. This is why experienced musicians, athletes, and skilled professionals can perform complex tasks with precision. Repetition can shape thought patterns as well. If someone constantly thinks negative thoughts, the brain strengthens those pathways, making negative thinking more automatic. On the other hand, mindfulness can rewire the brain to focus on more constructive and optimistic perspectives. My first husband had been a drug addict. He'd been a single father for 3 years. He'd been doing some homework. He'd been assessing certain women that he knew. And for some reason, he said he was going to choose the wife analytically because he knows about this emotional limbic system. It doesn't mean you choose someone you don't like. That's why when he said to me, "You, very important," I said, "All right. But you've got to remember, we were friends. We were good friends." He said, "Let's get married." But you actually can't get married that day. Notice. So we got married 2.5 weeks later. Do you know what was very interesting? That afternoon he walked past the building, and my heart began to beat. And I thought, I'm marrying him. I didn't realize what was happening when I made a decision. I will marry you. Made a decision that I would love this man. Yeah, safe to put my emotions on that. I didn't have to hold them back at all. I've been married to Michael for 21 years. 21 years in about 2 weeks. I love this man. Do you know he's never raised his voice to me? Do you know he's never got angry with me? Oh, we love that. Men take note. Never nag because it never does any good. We've both got a part to play. Is that right? There's a book called Have a New Husband by Friday, and it's by Keith Lehman. The lady was reading the book and said, "Stupid book. Exactly your reactions." Love is a choice. And that choice to love can be fed or it can be denied. And there are times when we must not put our love around an object that is unsafe or not ours to take and love. Our love should be put around an object that is safe, that is ours to do. It should be fed with tender words and loving deeds. One lady said to me, "Barbara, husband, I'd like to take you home and train you." "Ah, but my husband treats me like a queen." One lady said, "Well, treats me like a queen. Well, guess how to get him to treat you like a queen. You start by treating him like a king." Proverbs 12:18 says, "That speaketh like the piercings of a sword, but the tongue of the wise is health." There are some things that need to be said, but you know what? They need to be said under the guidance of the guardian, against the guidance of God, into your frontal lobe to give you wisdom. And James 1:5 says, "If any man lack wisdom, let him ask of God, who giveth to all men liberally and upbraideth not, and it shall be given him, in faith, nothing wavering." Ships of the sea, driven with the wind and tossed, let not that and think he will receive anything of the Lord. And that's why it says in Hebrews chapter 4, verse 12. Actually down a little bit for verse 16. Therefore come boldly to that throne of grace, because we have a God that loves us. Can't your children come boldly to your throne into your house? We never knock at our parents' house, do we? This is our Father. Your words affect your feelings, so be very careful on your words. Love, emotions, and relationships, to brain health. Every thought we experience has a direct impact on our brain's chemistry and overall function. The way we treat others, speak, and the emotions we choose to dwell on can either nourish or damage our brains. Studies show that love and positive relationships release oxytocin, often called the bonding hormone. Oxytocin strengthens connections, reduces stress, and even promotes neurogenesis, the growth of new brain cells. When we choose love, kindness, and forgiveness, we are not just strengthening our relationships, we are literally protecting and enhancing our brain health. On the other hand, negative emotions flood the brain with cortisol, the stress hormone. Over time, excessive cortisol damages neurons, particularly in the hippocampus, the area responsible for memory and learning. This is why people under prolonged stress often experience forgetfulness, difficulty concentrating, and increased risk of cognitive decline. Proverbs 17:22 says, "A merry heart doeth good like a medicine, but a broken spirit drieth the bones." Modern neuroscience confirms this truth. A joyful, grateful mindset promotes dopamine and serotonin production, neurotransmitters associated with happiness and mental clarity. When we engage in positive social interactions, encourage others, and choose to see the good in people, our brain responds by reinforcing these neural pathways, making it easier to maintain a positive outlook in the future. Choosing to love around us is not just good for relationships, but it is a powerful way to protect and heal the brain. Acts of kindness, whether through words or actions, activate the brain's reward system, creating a cycle of positivity that enhances cognitive function, emotional resilience. This is why Scripture emphasizes speaking life-giving words. Negative speech, criticism, or complaints activates the amygdala center, increasing stress levels. Faith and love activate the prefrontal cortex, enhancing rational thinking, decision-making. So as we choose our words wisely and nurture our relationships with love and patience, we are also making choices that strengthen and protect our brains. True love doesn't just heal the heart, it heals the mind as well as so the way we love, speak about relationships, it's about brain health too. Choosing kindness, gratitude, just strengthen our connections. It literally rewires our brains for better health and longevity. If you found this insightful, subscribe and share your thoughts in the comments. And as always, take care and stay mindful. See you in the next one.